right, welcome in. This is season 5, episode number 35 of the Outlap F1 podcast. As you can see, we are live, we are local, we are in Austin. We have horse pictures. The horses are in love. We're here. We are here. We're doing this thing. You've got Andy, and I'm along with Cody tonight. We're in the same room. We are here. We are in Austin for the USGP. We have all sorts of good stuff to get into tonight. Cody, how's it going, sir?
It's going fantastic. Good to cool off a little bit after a wonderful track walk experience today. Definitely one of the better ones that I've had being here. Got to see some famous faces today, which was really cool. Lots of good shots from cars. And all around, great day. Great start.
Yeah, and it's just the start of what we hope is going to be a fantastic USGP weekend. So if you found our stuff, welcome. As David Croft would say, welcome along. You can find us on Twitter, X, whatever it's called. You know the platform. It's over there. Instagram, Discord, Reddit, and of course YouTube. You may even put this video with the horses who are very much in love out on there just so you can see it. At Outlap F1 Podcast is the handle for all of that stuff. You can see our link tree, of course, and find all that. Do us a solid. If you happen to see this on YouTube and you like what you're hearing and you like what you're seeing and you're enthralled by the horses that are behind us, click the like and subscribe button. I don't care how you do it, but if you do it, click the like and subscribe button. We're happy to have that. If you're on your favorite podcasting app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, that type of thing, do us a solid. Click the like. Click the 5-star button. Again, just helps us all come up a little bit better in searches, gets our content to you that much quicker. You can email the show, chat now at outlapf1.com. We'll take you there. You can peruse the website, www.outlapf1.com. We'll take you there. A major thank you to all of our monetary supporters who make broadcasts on the road like this possible. We could not do it without you. Thank you so much to Dean Warwick, Yuri Dolchester, Paul Weaver, Quentin Warden, Kevin Kelly, who's been talking to me all week, Regan Stanzik, Timothy Brown, and of course, Jonathan Scott. You can, if you want to become a member of what we call the hashtag Outlap F1 Nation, you can see our link tree. It's our anchor page, $1, $5. If you'd like to do that, we would be very, very grateful. All goes into making the show better, investing in equipment, upgrading the equipment we already have. We've brought some mobile internet with us to give us the oomph necessary to get this out. So, all that, like I said, it all goes into making the show better, and it's all thanks to all of you. That's why we keep doing what we do. In terms of actual sponsors who sometimes actually give us real funding, the good folks at Manscaped. You can check out our code, OUTLAP, that's OUTLAP, all one word, gets you 20% off and free shipping. So go ahead and check that out if you're so inclined. Christmas, believe it or not, it's only a couple months away. So, wow. But anyway, the F1guy.com, our buddy Vincenzo Landino, who I've not seen if he's down here yet this weekend, but he might be. But check out his shirt line, the F1guy.com. F1 quality merch, not necessarily the F1 quality price. As you can see from somebody who has a lot of merch, that's hard to find. So go check that out. It's really good stuff. We would appreciate if you did that. All right. So I kind of teased this story before we actually got down here. It's a bit of a minor miracle that we're here. PSA to everybody out there in the world, and you probably already know this. This probably goes without saying, but if you're going through an airport in today's day and age with all of the stuff that you have to do, know where your bloody IDs are at all times. I put my driver's license in my wallet in the same spot. It's always there. It's never not there. And so I get to the ticket counter. I go to check in my bag. The guy goes, send me your ID. I go, oh, yeah, no problem. I go flip up my wallet and horror, it's not there. And in my mind, I'm like, why isn't it there? Why would it not be where I would expect it to be? I'm counting minutes as minutes are going by. I'm flipping through my wallet and I'm knowing like this is a futile exercise. If it's not here, where the hell is it? I take the bags. We end up having to get out of line. We go back to kind of the front of the airport. I'm now ripping apart my baggage left and right. And I'm thinking this is an entirely futile exercise. Not going to work. Not going to find it. No way am I going to find this, because if it's not there, where the hell is it? Turns out, after about 10 minutes of this, and of course I'm watching this lovely choreographed, like our trip down here is a bit of logistical like dominoes. One has to fall to the next to the next. You have to get the flight in to get to the rental car. You have to get the rental car to get to the hotel, check into the hotel on time, blah, 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 blah. So I'm watching this unravel in my head, and I'm retracing my steps, and I'm thinking, where the hell would I have taken my ID out? And as it turns out, because I'm the old fogey of the group that still pays for things with, cash, I had taken out some cash for the trip. I am willing to do some of this on cards, but I didn't want to do all of it on cards. So I had taken out some cash, and of course, when you go to a bank through a drive-through, you have to then present your driver's license. I had neglected to realize that the nice banker lady had secured my driver's license in the envelope with the cash, which I had stowed away, luckily, in my bag. The good news is I had my ID all the time. It didn't get stolen. I didn't have to run to a Secretary of State's office to try to get it done. Didn't have to reschedule 10 flights. We're here. We got down here on time when we were supposed to be. I found it. We made our flight. It was no problem. But for those 10 minutes, that was scary. Cody watched it.
Yes, it is. It's okay to look back on it now in hindsight and think, oh yeah, like I could hear Drew's or Andy's heart racing a million miles a minute from like 10 feet away. And, seeing him go through the wallet for like the third time being like, it's gotta be here somewhere. But in the moment, it was a little freaky. It's like, oh my goodness, we're going to have to figure out everything again. We're going to have to rent a Corvette and drive out at like 150
22 hours.
Yeah.
22 hours of driving awaiting us. Or the only other thing I was thinking of in the minute, like my panic mode, was actually Amtrak. Like maybe we could take Amtrak to like St. Louis and get a flight from St. Louis or something like that. That was something that was going through my head. But luckily, we never had to get there.
Nope, it all worked out.
So we're here. We're happy to be here. If you're watching us with the lovely horses in the background, we're just enamored with this painting, by the way, that we decided to move the entire studio here to make sure that we could share this with you. But anyway, PSA, know where your IDs are. Have two. If you have a passport, you can also bring that as well. Illinois is one of the 5 states that still isn't on Real ID, but do both. Have both, have backups. End of my preaching. I'm done. I will never forget my ID ever again.
We're going to be checking that a million times.
I was going to say, it's become the joke of the trip. We're only been down here for a day and a half, and I'm like, every time, where's your ID? He's giving it. I got to take it. What else can I do? I have to take it. But anyway, we have a race to talk about. We have the USGP. There's been a lot of news in the just 1 week off since Qatar. Even though the championships are done, there are lots of things happening in the world of Formula One, and so we'll dive into some of that. And the big story, the Honey Badger, who loves Texas, who loves coming here, who loves Circuit of the Americas, Austin, barbecue, all that good stuff, he's back. He is now back in the car. The hand is good to go, received all of the medical clearance. Daniel Ricciardo back in the AlphaTauri. We've seen some good form from his replacement, Liam Lawson. We definitely know that he's still in the plans for Red Bull, but Cody, what do you think about his chances this weekend? We know he loves this place, but does it translate to good on track?
I really, really hope it does, because I really like Daniel Ricciardo, and he really likes this United States race. So for his sake, I hope that he performs really well. I think it's going to be a little iffy. It's his first race back after being injured. He's been out for several Grand Prix. Even so, he was only back for a few races after being out for half a season. So, my noggin's telling me that he's probably going to struggle a little bit, and that's going to be a crying shame. But I really hope for his sake that he does a great job, because one of my favorite memories for coming here with Andy is back in 2021, right after Danny Rick had that McLaren win in Italy. He apparently won a bet with Zach Brown to drive one of Dale Earnhardt's NASCARs around Dakota. And Drew and Andy and I made it here in time to see that. And it was pretty amazing. And he looked like a kid in a candy store driving a NASCAR here. So it was a wonderful memory. And it's always great to see him here with the antics, like the cowboy hats and the handlebar mustache and everything. So I really hope he takes all that good spirit and turns it into a good first race back.
And the thing about that was we kind of backed into that because it was supposed to happen that Sunday. Mm-hmm. And they changed the schedule and the timing around. And we just happened to show up Saturday to try to watch Free Practice 3. And all of a sudden, there he was starting that recon lap. So we got a chance to pretty much see the whole thing. We would have missed it had we not shown up exactly when we did. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a great memory, that for sure. Wishing Daniel all the best. Hope the hand is good to go. We'll have to see kind of how how they present in practice. We got a sprint weekend this weekend, so there's only going to be one practice, and then move straight into qualifying. So qualifying is big and important for the course of this weekend. So we'll see where he slots in. All right. So because we don't talk about the FIA enough on the show, they went and did a thing. We'll just put it this way: they are taking a second look at the Lewis Hamilton incident for him crossing the track in Qatar. At that race, he did receive a fine and a reprimand, and that was kind of where I thought kind of the story was going to end. So it's kind of odd that they're doing a second look. They're citing Lewis Hamilton's influence as a driver. They don't want see Lewis do something and then do like he does mentality. I don't know. This all feels like a big giant pile of nothing to me. But Cody, what's your thought on it? To me, I put out a tweet out that said I thought this whole thing is unnecessary.
I agree with you. I think that the fact that they gave him a reprimand and a fine already speaks enough to the fact that they thought it was a safety issue and that he shouldn't have done that. The fact that they're taking another look at it makes me think that FIA doesn't believe that they did enough to, deter this behavior going forward. I can kind of understand where they're coming from. It is a safety concern. You really don't want anybody playing around with that. And so if they feel the need to hand out harsher punishment to keep people from doing that in the future, I can understand that. But I don't agree with re-reviewing this particular incident because you already handed out the penalty for it. If you think that the penalty should be harsher, then just say something. Say, look, we handed this out. We think that we're going to hand out harsher punishments for this going forward, or just address that the next time it happens, if it ever happens again. I really hope it doesn't. But to go back to this, especially, it's Lewis Hamilton. He's, 7-time champion of the world. And, I think taking another look at this is going to give people the idea that they are taking another look at it because it's Lewis Hamilton, which in one way they admitted they are, but we don't want the idea that might be happening for other reasons to come to the forefront of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want there to be different rules for different drivers.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would be best for everyone if we just accepted the punishment that's been doled out and we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem if they wanted it and, get the drivers in the driver's union and said, yeah, okay, he gets this punishment here and that's where we're going to stop it. But we're not making that the end-all be-all precedent. And we're going to say, okay, hey, the next guy who does it, we're probably going to come down a little bit harder on. That I think is okay, and that may be ultimately where we end up with this. But to single out Lewis, who sometimes has just been a lightning rod for being singled out, doesn't feel right to me. I don't like it. I would have much rather just had this kind of thing be done. And like I said, if they want to, adjudicate future occurrences of this differently or handle it more harshly because they want to, put the tone down or the fear of whoever into the drivers that says, don't do this again, please. I can get that, but you got to go a better way about it other than just looking at this one incident where nothing really happened. There wasn't a huge safety concern. Yes, he did cross the track, but also he apologized for it, he admitted responsibility to it, and got what I thought was an appropriate, penalty for it. So to me, a whole lot of hopefully nothing, but we'll follow it and we'll see if this ends up going anywhere. All right, so focusing on a little bit more of this weekend. Boy, if you like special liveries, this is a weekend for you. Haas, Williams, and Red Bull all have specialty themed USGP liveries. If you like special helmets, boy, is this also a weekend for you. I've seen Charles Leclerc with a green American football style helmet. I've seen Yuki Tsunoda with this leather helmet thing that looks like a work of art, even though there's no leather on it. It's all paint. Lando Norris has got, for his 100th Grand Prix, he's got some stickers on his helmet this weekend that he'll be supporting. So lots of specialty things. The American sun and spotlight is bright. So Cody, what was your favorite thing of what you saw so far?
Well, the main one that I saw was the Red Bull, special American livery. And got to admit, when I saw the picture of it, online, I thought, it's a little ugly. It's a little half-assed. Now, being at the track walk and seeing this car 20 feet in front of me and all of its super speedy glory, I thought it was beautiful. And, I think any Formula One car that's 20 feet away from me is going to look beautiful. But I got to say, it actually did look pretty cool in person. We did get to see the Haas livery. Didn't really get to see enough of the Williams car to see that one, but the Haas looked cool. The Red Bull looked cool. And yeah, those helmets, some of the ones are truly works of art. Hoping that they do something with those helmets in the future, because just letting them go to waste would be just that. Hopefully they, make some money for a good cause out of them, or put them on a nice pedestal at their place somewhere, because they look beautiful.
Yeah, you can scroll through actually our Twitter. I put up a whole bunch of our pictures from the track walk, so you can see what some of these specialty liveries look like. The Williams, we only could see the side pods, but there's this very clear American flag, going through the rear of the car. Pretty much kind of like sort of what they did for the British one, where like it's the normal Williams livery and then the flag part at the end. So something similar to it, but a bit more colorful. So yeah, like I said, everybody seems to wanting to go all out for the bright sun and the bright spotlight that the USGP provides. So moving on, one last bit about Qatar before we move on. Did just want to pass along. We talked about the incident with Lance Stroll. We talked about the infamous shove and what all that was. FIA's reviewed it. Lance has apologized profusely. They have come back and said no further action. Obviously, he's kind of under warning, pretty much kind of like a probation type thing. Any future incident is going to get looked at pretty darn harshly. Enough is enough, Cody, or would you have preferred they had done something here?
It's a little bit of both. You never want to see anybody anywhere getting physical. We talked about this last time, that if Andy or I had done this in the workplace, we'd be in a lot of trouble. So you'd like to see the same type of attention and punishment given out to, people where they're being watched on TV. Like we all saw him, get physical with someone on his own team, and that's not cool. Was it the most severe thing to happen? It's not like he's throwing punches. I understand that. Would have liked to have seen something a little more come out of it than a public apology and a slap on the wrist, effectively, because it makes it seem like, he's receiving special consideration. But that said, wasn't the worst thing. If it doesn't happen again, maybe this will be another thing the FIA will look at and decide that they want to do a lot harsher punishments for in the future. We only know about it because it happened to be caught on camera. So, I would hope that, this type of stuff would get reported if it happened off camera, but hopefully we can just move on from it now. Can understand the pressure he's under. We've seen the statistics that hasn't made it to Q2 since the summer break, hasn't scored points. And, that's rough. That's stressful, but you'd never want to, take out your frustrations on other people, people that you're working with and who are supporting your career. So, I hope we can move on from it and we don't see it happen again.
Yeah, definitely. If it anything like that even remotely comes close to happening again, I would assume the answer is going to be he will get the proverbial book thrown at him, including potential disqualification, because it is kind of that serious. You do not put your hands on a coworker. It's just that simple. But I'll take it for what it is. If there is anything else comes out of it, of course, we will follow it and we will pass any new word along to you. All right. So a couple big things that we normally never, ever see at Circuit of the Americas, because given where we are on the calendar, it's usually pretty late in the game. Most teams have gone through their upgrade packages and they kind of are playing with what they have. That's not the case this weekend. This practice session is going to be full of diagnostic work and correlation work, and we're going to see more FlowViz live than I think we probably ever have. Why? I think everybody's getting a jump on 2024. We're seeing big floor upgrades from Mercedes, who think that could maybe be the final answer in getting their car up to and where the McLarens are currently and is as second fastest on the grid. We're seeing the huge upgrade. We've talked about this for Haas a very long time. Big, huge upgrades to the side pods, big, huge upgrade to the floor, the rear wing, the front wing. Feels kind of like a McLaren reset. We'll have to see whether or not it works the way that they want. Kevin Magnuson's already tried to play the whole thing down. Don't expect miracles right out of the gate. So we'll have to see. But the fact is, all these teams are still busy bringing stuff to the track, even this late in the game, even though all the championships are done and dusted, and it's all Max and Red Bull. But Cody, unbelievable how much we're going to see in terms of car development this weekend.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of ingenious because we can assume we've had the cost cap around for a few seasons now. Teams are probably getting better at balancing their upgrades throughout the entire season. Now that they know how the money reports come back, and a lot of these teams we've seen are, especially like Mercedes earlier in the season and now Haas, are pivoting more to that Red Bull style of car. And I can only imagine that they're trying to use up their remaining budget from this year to get well seated into that style of car so that they can really, throw those ideas, learn everything that they can about that style of car with what they have left this year, and then take those learnings and apply it more quickly and effectively going into the 2024 season. And for one, I'm really excited to see this. I'm hoping that Haas, save this really good upgrade so that they have something to show in America. They are, after all, an American-owned team. For Mercedes, this ought to be very exciting for Lewis Hamilton, who loves this track, has been highly successful here, and so I'm hoping that they have their upgrade pretty well figured out, so they can give Lewis a legitimate chance at a very good result here. But I'm very excited. It's gonna make the one practice session really worth watching.
Yeah, Friday, 12:30 Central.
Yeah.
Be there to see all of the interesting work that is going on in the paddock. Yeah, I can't wait. As an F1 nerdo myself, I dig into stuff like this. And it's also going to be fun to watch from, especially where our advantage is, watching the teams operate, even when the car goes back into the garage, to see what they're doing. What do they do? How do they take the flow vis on? How do they take it off? All that interesting, nerdy stuff that I'm just going to totally enjoy and soak up all weekend. But anyway, that's enough of that for me. Last story before we get into the actual track facts and the USGP proper. Alpine is becoming, there's stars on the track. There's stars on the Haas livery this weekend. There's stars on a Red Bull. But Alpine has actually gone out and got like real actual stars to invest in them. So on Tuesday, entity called Ortho Capital, I may be totally botching that, I apologize if I am, has announced an injection of investors from a new group of big-name people, especially big-name people in the U.S. The group includes Kansas City Chiefs stars Patrick Mahomes. Maybe you've heard of him. Travis Kelce. Maybe you've heard of him too. Four-time golf major champion Rory McIlroy. Star of the Ryder Cup for Team Europe, by the way. Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold. World Cup winner Juan Mata. And former heavyweight world boxing champion Anthony Joshua. Lots of big names. I think this is a case for me of the rising tides lift all boats. I love seeing big relevant names getting into this sport. It's important names. You're probably going to see more Alpine-based advertising from, in your normal like football Sundays now. We've already kind of have it. We've got Duracell on the Williams. We've seen Dell and McLaren do a whole bunch of collaborations, and you've seen F1 stuff in your daily life now. But Cody, you got to think this is a good move, right?
It's definitely a good move, and it really shows that a lot of big names here in America who have the money to be able to invest in something like this. They really have faith in the growing F1 popularity, especially here in the United States. And yeah, it's just going to give Formula One and Alpine specifically even better exposure here in the States. And the only downside to it is we're probably going to see a lot more pans to, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce in the future. I'm really hoping.
I didn't want to go there, but they are kind of a thing. Taylor Swift has been here at COTA. She was a headliner here at COTA, so she's got more than enough influence herself. But again, that's also a good thing. Look what it's doing for football. Mm-hmm. You're getting all these new eyes people who would never watch a football game are sitting with their husbands or boyfriends or significant others and watching an American football game for maybe the first time. So if you could have that same thing happen with Formula One, hey, I'm a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. I love Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. They have invested in this thing. What is this F1 thing? That's how you do it. That's how you generate growth. We've seen kind of the audience in this country kind of plateau a little bit. Championship's not as compelling, let's be honest. And you probably would need that to continue this growth pattern. Drive to Survive numbers still strong, but maybe not as strong as they were before. This is how you get new eyes to your sport.
Yep, great way to broaden the audience.
Yep. All right, so that's enough for the news. We are going to take a quick break. We're going to do a sound check just to make sure that the sound's much better than what we had tried once earlier before. So anyway, we're going to do that. We're going to make sure everything's all good. We'll come back. We'll re-rack. We'll get into the USGP track facts from the good folks at Pirelli Motorsport. We'll talk about the weather, and we're going to have to talk about the weather, but it's not for what you think. But anyway, we'll do all that. We'll get into our predictions. Who do we think is going to take it? We got a sprint weekend on tap. Lots of good stuff to come into, so come on back. Yeah, I guarantee you this sounds better. All right, welcome back in. This is Season 5. I believe this is Episode 35, and if I've screwed up the count, who cares, of the Outlap F1 podcast. Big news is we're live. We're in Austin, and it's our 2023 USGP preview. You've got Andy. I've got Cody. We're in the same room. We're all together. Deanna is here also as well. She's not in the room, obviously, with us tonight, but she was at the track walk with her dad. She will be in our section. If you're interested and happen to be around Circuit of the Americas and you have access to the main grandstand, we are going to be basically as close as you can be to the start line. Cody and I will be in row 6. Deanna will be just a couple rows behind us. So if you happen to be around and have the ability to come say hi, we'll be happy to talk F1 with you while they let you stay there. I do think with this being a sprint weekend, however, your time in that section is going to be pretty short because I'm betting it's going to be pretty darn crowded. But if you'd like to come in, we can, maybe find the lounge, go have a beer or something. We're more than willing to talk. It's what we kind of do. So feel free to find us if you would like to. All right, so we're going to drop our green flag. We're going to get into the USGP proper. Okay, now comes the fun part. We're going to wait for the sound. There we go. All right, Cody, take it away. Tell us about Circuit of the Americas.
All right, we're going to drop the green flag on Circuit of the Americas here in beautiful Austin, Texas, United States of America. Number of laps around this Grand Prix is 56. Length of the track is 3.436 miles. That's 5.513 kilometers. And it's made up of 20 turns. Tire selection from Pirelli for this race is the C2, C3, and C4 compound. And the track characteristics from Pirelli are 4 out of 5 for traction, a 3 out of 5 for asphalt grip, 4 out of 5 for asphalt abrasion, and there are now 3 different asphalt stages around this track. 4 out of 5 for track evolution, 4 out of 5 for tire stress, 4 out of 5 for lateral load, and a 4 out of 5 for downforce. Qualifying lap record around Circuit of the Americas F1 is a 1 minute 32.029 seconds, and that was set by Valtteri Bottas in 2019, while the race lap record is a 1 minute 36.169, and that was set by Charles Leclerc in his Ferrari in that same year, 2019. Most wins at the track goes to the all-time great Lewis Hamilton with 5 wins. Was lucky enough to see one of those wins in 2016. Next best would be Max Verstappen with 2. Also very lucky to see one of those wins in 2021. And then we have a 3-way tie with one win apiece. And those went to Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen, and Valtteri Bottas. Most constructor wins at this track, as you may imagine, would be Mercedes with 6, followed by Red Bull with 3, and a single win for Ferrari. What's the circuit like, Andy?
All right, let me pull my notes up here. Just 1 second. If the corners at Coda look familiar, that's because they should be. Turns 3 through 6 look very similar to Silverstone's high-speed run through Maggots and Beckett's or the S-curves at Suzuka. While turns 12 through 15 mimic Hockenheim's stadium section. Meanwhile, the uphill run into wide turn 1. Hey, everything's bigger in Texas, right? This hill and this corner has provided overtaking action in the track's short life. Jensen Button's taken lines through here that nobody ever tried before or didn't think you could do before. It's an amazing advantage. We get a good view of it from our seat. It's one of the reasons why we have the seats that we do. Current weather forecast. This could be the story of the weekend. It's not supposed to rain. That's the good news. Bad news is it may be just as freaking hot as Qatar. The better news, not quite as humid, but it is going to be hot. at certain points throughout the weekend. Friday for qualifying, a mainly sunny sky, near record high temps, high of 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Yikes. We're going to be sitting on metal benches. Double yikes. Winds light and variable. Not surprising. 0% chance of rain. Saturday for the sprint, and again, back-to-back sprint weekends here. Intervals of clouds and sunshine in the morning with more clouds later in the day, so that's a little bit of a reprieve. High again, near record high temps, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds light and variable. Again, a whopping 0% chance of rain. And for the race day on Sunday, probably the best day of the three. Cloudy skies early, partly cloudy in the afternoon. High only 88. I've seen some other forecasts. A lot of the temperature predictions have come down a little bit in the last day or two. So hopefully, but it's small. High around 88. Still quite warm. Winds out of the south at 5 to 10. A 3% chance of rain. Wow. All right. All right, so because we did the track walk earlier today, we want to talk a little bit about first impressions of the track for 2023, the Austin area in general. Cody, what's your thought?
The track walk was very fun. It always is. Been fortunate to do a couple of them with Andy before. And we got to really see a lot of cool stuff this time. When I came back in 2016, they really kind of let you have like the run of the place, and you could wander around as long as you wanted. It seemed like, and you could easily wander out onto the track. It was a little more strict in 2021, but this time we did get to stick around for a while. We did get to see a lot of action. We got to see some dueling pit stops between Red Bull and Ferrari. That was really cool. Had to fight our way to the front a little bit to get a good view. I got some really good shots of the Ferrari and Red Bull cars sitting there in all their glory. And we got to see some famous faces this time, which was really cool. Over by the Red Bull garage, we got to see Christian Horner come out with Drew Barrymore, which was really interesting. She did a tire change, or gave her best shot at doing a tire change on the Red Bull. So that was really cool. Got to see that. And then they kind of started to shepherd us out after hanging out there for a while. And as we're heading back out, the McLaren team comes out for a photo op with the car, and we got to see Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, Pato O'Ward was out here. I got to see Zach Brown.
Yep.
So it was really cool to see those guys. Back at the Red Bull garage, we got to see Sergio Perez come out, give a wave as he was getting ready to ride his bike around the track. So that was really neat. Very exciting to get to see famous faces. Lando Norris came over and was kind enough to autograph some merchandise for some people, which is really cool. And
sadly, not us.
Yeah, I tried. I was going away being like, I got my golf hat. Come sign my golf hat. Nah, couldn't fight my way through the throng. But yeah, really cool nonetheless. And yeah, it was pretty much a great time. But yeah, really hot, and it's only going to get hotter. So I'm not looking forward to that part so much. We pretty much melted when we were in 2021. But yeah, there's just some nice ways to escape the heat here too, and we'll be sure to do that if we gotta.
Yeah. I mean, there's some places we can go take refuge. Just a general, again, another PSA: hydration, sunscreen, very good things to have this weekend for sure. My first impression of the track walk, having been on a ton of these now. One, there's definitely more active than last year. Last year felt like we were like too early, and teams were still kind of setting up. And by the time the thing was over, that's when teams were actually going out, getting their cars weighed, scrutineered, all that other good stuff. Here, much more interactive with the fans that happened to be there. We got to see the Lando Norris 100th Grand Prix photo. That's where we got to see Pato and Piastri and Zach Brown and Andrea Stella. My shot of it has everybody but Lando, even though that's why we were there. The fact that I got that shot was kind of a miracle, because it was really kind of blind. I was really just kind of putting my phone up to the gods and saying, I'm just going to click and see what comes up. And that's what came out. So I apologize that Lando's not in the shot. He was, I guess, off to the left somewhere. I had no way to see it. But anyway, other impressions. It's going to be a hot weekend. It's going to be a very warm weekend. So again, like I said, hydration, very, very important. We don't want anybody passing out. Austin traffic is a thing. Let's just be honest. So if you're in Austin and you're going for the first time, give yourself plenty of time to see all the sessions that you want to. Get to the track as early as you can. That's reasonable. You don't have to get there at 5 in the morning or anything like that. But the gates open, I think, usually around 8. That's probably good enough for you to get a good parking spot. I'd also recommend, eating a decent breakfast for it, because the food at the track is not always the best, and it can be a little bit pricey. The other thing to note, if you are in Austin, there is a big stretch of road work on the main thoroughfare, I-35, just south of town, which you would have to go to. So if you're staying in downtown Austin and try to get to the track that way, you're going to sit in some road work. So there are a couple alternate routes that I would recommend. US Route 183, it's all done. They've been working on that for a number of years. It's done. It's beautiful. You will pay some tolls. It's not so bad. The other one, the big toll road, SH 130, you will pay a little bit more in tolls, but again, wide open. Big speed limits, 85 miles an hour in certain stretches. So if you have one of those sports cars and you want to just see what it can do, go for it. Get your butt to the track that much quicker. But anyway, one last thing. All the vendors at Coda are all cashless. So even though for the old fogey like me who brought cash and almost jeopardized my trip, I probably didn't need to. So that's another thing that I can feel kind of dumb about. But anyway, just know that, kind of a bit of a Coda survival guide that we wanted to pass along as we gear up for the weekend. All right, so it is now time for the Choose Your Champion predictions game. We're going to pivot to that. Coda edition. We've tried to do as much live research as we can. All right, as we are apt to do, we will start with the pole sitter. I'll go first on this one. I think Max Verstappen's got it till somebody takes it away. I don't see anybody taking away from him here. So I've got Max on the pole. Cody, do you have anything different?
I tried to be a little bit of a smartass some of the recent Grand Prix and be like, I don't think Max is going to get it. Well, I've been wrong. So I'm going to go back to thinking that Max is not going to turn down his efforts until he's completely destroyed this season. So, I'm the same as you. I got Max Verstappen taking pole.
All right, so Super Max on the pole. All right. Even though last year was Carlos Sainz, which was a bit of a surprise. You don't think the shortened low practice, that just plays right into Max? Red Bull car set up good. Everybody else still kind of working on their stuff. Mm-hmm. I get it. Makes sense. All right. Qualifying pole lap time last year was set by that Carlos Sainz, a 134.356. I'm going to go a tad slower. I'm going to say 134.754. We do have 3 different surfaces here. We don't have any new. There was no new repaving this year. So everything has kind of been worn in. It's been used. We've had MotoGP here. We've had NASCAR here. So I do think it'll tends to run a little bit slower the second year after you get a big track pavement. So, but that's my lap time. But Cody, what you got?
I'm going with a little bit quicker than last year, going off the fact that the cars themselves are trending at being a little quicker than they were last year as teams are coming to better grips with them. So I am going with a 1 minute 33.888 seconds.
All right, 133.888. We'll lock that in. All right, so race predictions. I keep scrolling. Why am I scrolling? It's on my phone. Anyway. Being kind of stupid. It's a habit. It's literally just a habit. Anyway, race predictions. Last year's pole time. It's also a little late at night. We're a little punch drunk if you haven't noticed. Race predictions. Last year's podium was Max Verstappen taking the win, Lewis Hamilton coming in second, having the lead late but not able to close the show, Charles Leclerc coming in third for Ferrari. I've gone full homer here. I'm not apologizing for it anymore. I want to give Lando Norris the win so bad, but I can't see that happening. So I'm going to give Max Verstappen the win, but I am going to have Lando coming home in second, celebrating his 100th Grand Prix, and Oscar Piastri right that not far behind him. Shout out to one of my coworkers, Beth, whose daughter Grace. Apparently, I've been told to kidnap Oscar Piastri and bring him home with me. I got him on a camera shot. That's about as good as I'm going to be able to do. And I've got him coming home third this race. So double McLaren podium yet again. That would be 3 in a row. That would be an amazing feat. So why not go jump in, poison papaya? Let's do it.
I, on the other hand, think this is going to be a Mercedes weekend. Lewis Hamilton, very strong performer at the track, has more wins than anybody, performed here very well last year in a car that's only been getting better. And they did bring upgrades to the car this weekend. So I think that the Mercedes is going to be really strong, not strong enough to beat Max Verstappen, though. So I got Max coming in first place, Hamilton in second place, and George Russell in third place.
All right, very good. All right, so we'll now move into our fastest lap and the driver. Last year's fastest lap was set by George Russell on a 138.788. Cody, I'll let you go first this time. What do you got for fastest lap, and who do you got doing it?
I got Max Verstappen setting the fastest lap. He seems to love to do it, and I think he's going to try to get every accolade he can from here on out. And I got him doing it with just a little bit faster than last year with a 1 minute 38.499 seconds.
All right, very good. I think that this will be probably one of those where there'll be enough of a gap that one of the Mercedes will probably duck in, put a set of softs on, and let's see what they can do. I've got Lewis Hamilton being that guy. I think he's going to have probably a pretty lonely race. I think Mercedes will go well, but I don't think they're going to be well enough necessarily to get on the podium. So I've got him 139.254 as with my lap time there. All right, so our bonus picks this week. I'm selecting P5, P6, and P7. So I'm only skipping one out of the first 7 places this time. I've gone with George Russell, P5, Fernando Alonso to come home in P6. And I think, unfortunately, the struggles will continue for one Sergio Checo Perez, even though he is loved around these parts. I got him coming home in P7.
Well, I really hope for Checo's sake that he does better than that, because he's got to turn something around. And yes,
lots of rumors around Checo this weekend. Let's put it that way. We didn't talk about it in the news because it's not reportable, but lots and lots of talk about Checo in his future.
We also did see a lot of his fans though at the Red Bull Garage, so he's very popular around here. As far as my bonus picks go, I have Oscar Piastri coming in 5th, also because I have Lando Norris coming in 4th in my head. And then I've got the Ferraris rounding out those other 2 spots. So I've got Charles Leclerc coming in 6th and Carlos Sainz in 7th.
All right. I think those are all plausible situations there. So we'll have to see. All right. So our prop bet this weekend, and because we're in America, does any of Team America, and that would include Williams, because they're owned by Doralton Capital, an American company, and of course Haas, bringing the big upgrade package. Do either of those teams, and it can be any one of them. So 1 out of 4 drivers score this. The answer to this is yes. Does anybody from Team America score points this weekend? Again, sprint or race.
Ooh, so like any points. Okay.
Yes.
I do. I'm still going to, if I think they're going to get points in one, sprint doesn't matter. So I think, yes, I think we are going to see at least 1 point for Team America this race. I'm crossing my fingers that those Haas upgrades are strong and well understood. And I think they got a pretty good chance of it. Obviously, the coolest thing would be if Logan Sargent somehow scored his first points here in the States. I think it's a very long shot.
Salvaging the season.
It would be the coolest way to salvage it.
Yes, it would.
I don't think he's got an Ice Cube's chance in Austin. But,
put the Ice Cube on turn 1 and watch it flow down the hill. And that's what probably sadly for our boy Logan. Weird things can happen around this track. The other thing is this is the first race after the championships are decided. That's always crazy. There's always an X factor. Weird things happen. Haas is good at capitalizing when weird things happen. So I like that. I think those upgrades will go, even if they don't get all of them fully optimized here, the fact that they're 1, willing to make a pivot, and 2, willing to take a step in season to do it is big for that team. I like their chances here. I do think, and I'm going to say, it's not part of the bet, but I'm going to say K-Mag to come home P9 in the race.
Spicy.
All right, before we hop on out of here for the evening, we just wanted to let you know if you're not able to attend in person, when and where to watch your F1 this weekend. Of course, F1 TV has all the sessions. It's worth, I think it's actually really worth the money that you pay for it. You get all the onboards, you can get all the team radio. It's a wonderful way to watch an F1 race. But if you don't want to invest in F1 TV, that's fine. ESPN has you covered. Practice 1 starts 1 at 25 p.m. Eastern. So sessions at the bottom half of the hour this time. ESPN2 will have that session. Qualifying 5:55 p.m. Eastern. So a bit later tonight, we're approaching kind of that golden hour here in Texas for that time. So it'll be an interesting qualifying session. Maybe a little bit cooler Thank God. The shadow will at least come over where we're sitting, so we'll be happy for that. 5:55 p.m. Eastern, ESPN2 should have that. Sprint shootout on Saturday, 1:25 p.m. Eastern, ESPN News or ESPN Plus. Sprint race, 5:55 p.m. Eastern, again, ESPN News or ESPN Plus. A lot of college football this weekend. Doesn't surprise me that we're getting bumped a little bit here. If you're interested in Ted's Notebook at all, you can go to ESPN3 and check those sessions out. You don't have to necessarily have Sky in order to get those, so you can now access those as well. For the race day on Sunday, there's a program called Countdown to Austin that's going to be on 2 p.m. Eastern before the race. You can check that out on ESPN3. The Grand Prix itself, 1:30 p.m. Eastern on Big ABC, so free television, going up against the NFL. Gotta love it. Checkered Flag program will drop approximately 5 p.m. or whenever the race ends. That's going to be, again, ESPN3. If you want to watch Ted's race follow-up notebook, you can catch that probably starting around 6. Again, ESPN3 is your coverage. There'll be some re-airs if you don't get a chance to watch it live, 8:30 p.m. Eastern and 11:30 p.m. 8:30 p.m. on ESPN2, 11 p.m. Eastern on ESPN News. All right, so we're not exactly sure when we're going to be able to do our full review. Deanna will be with us, hopefully, for that as well. We're thinking maybe even next Tuesday we may have to combine it with the Mexico Grand Prix because we got to turn around and re-rack for that. So we may do a combined USGP review / Mexico GP preview really quickly. We'll throw some predictions in. Hopefully there's not a whole lot of news that breaks between now and then. But again, if something does, follow us on our social media. That's where we'll bring it to you, and then we'll talk about it live when we can. Cody, I guess we're out for the evening. I'm excited. Are you excited?
I am so psyched. I love coming and doing this, and just cross my fingers that I'm not going to fry to a crisp. But you know what? Even if I do, it'll be well worth it. And it's gonna be great. The atmosphere is always very fun, and last time we were here, it was jam packed. So hoping that we see really good attendance again.
Yeah, it's Cody, me, and 440 of our closest F1 friends all descending upon Circuit of the Americas this weekend. So can't wait for it. The horses are excited for it as well. So for Cody, for me, and for Deanna, who will be around hopefully on our review because she'll be with us in our section, which will be the first time that's ever happened. So all good stuff. As always, may all your laps be fast.